Welcome to Stories My Mother Told Me. The title of today's story is The Princess Switch. Once upon a time, in the kingdom of Vanora, lived Princess Isabella. Isabella was a fair and kind-hearted young woman. She was deeply loved by the people. She would go into the village and spend time with her friends. Wherever she went, people sang her praises and received flowers from her. Isabella had a cousin who had lived with them since she was 5. Both girls grew up together, and the king and queen treated them equally, providing all they needed to be happy. Emily, however, prided herself in the entire community as a princess. She's got nothing to do with the common people. She would look down at others and look for every opportunity to belittle all the girls her age. For these reasons, the people always show their disapproval of her. Emily was always jealous of Isabella. She wished she's as beautiful as her and envious that she never receives any of the praises Isabella got. But how can you be loved when you are not a pleasant person? When Isabella turned 21, her father told her that she'd be getting married to Prince Alexander from the neighboring village. Their union was also meant to unite the two kingdoms in harmony. Everyone was delighted to hear the news, but at the same time, they were sad that Isabella is leaving. Now, let me give you a background detail about their custom. At that time, it was the duty of the parents to find a suitable partner for their children, and if both families agreed to the traditional terms, a day would be fixed and the bride will be escorted to her husband's home. It was customary that the bride and groom not meet each other till she is brought to him as his wife. For this reason, the royal family would do everything possible to find the best mate for their children. In Isabella's case, her father asked her what qualities she wants in a husband and what physical characteristics she envisaged her husband possesses. After listening carefully to his daughter, he traveled far and wide looking for a prince that would match their descriptions. After several days of traveling, he met Prince Alexander. He was charming, well-built, and he comported himself in a charismatic way. But that wasn't all the king was looking for. So he stayed in this village a few more days, pretending to be a common man and asking people about the kind of person the king was. To his favor, every single person had only positive things to say about the prince. Satisfied at the efficiency of his work, he returned home. Coincidentally, King Audrey, Alexander's father, had also heard amazing stories about Isabella, and he longed to have her as a wife for his son. He therefore came to Vanora to ask for her hand in marriage. He was warmly welcomed to the palace and he had a good time. He immediately made his intentions known to the king, and they both agreed to the union. Now, let's get back to the wedding plans. Isabella's wedding is in 3 days, and as everyone prepared joyfully, Emily remained unhappy. She wished she would be the one to marry the prince and not Isabella. She continued to be restless. She kept thinking of how she would sabotage the whole arrangement. Everyone noticed her disposition, but they all assumed that she is sad about Isabella's leaving. Hence, the queen asked that she go with Isabella as her escort. Emily saw this as an opportunity she's been waiting for, and in that moment, her face lit in excitement. The day for the departure finally arrived. As Isabella embarked on the journey to Prince Alexander's kingdom, accompanied by a small entourage consisting of Emily, one guard, and her personal maid. She was adorned in the royal attire, and she rode in the lavish carriage, surrounded by well-wishing nobles and courtiers. As they traveled, Emily was carefully observing and looking for a perfect opportunity to carry out her plans. She had harbored resentment against the royal family and saw an opportunity to wreak havoc. After riding for a few hours, they came to a river and they decided to camp there for a while. Emily asked the guard to go find them some firewood. As soon as he left, she told Isabella that it would be nice for them to go for a swim. But seeing how fast the water is, Isabella politely declined. Notwithstanding, Isabella insisted, explaining that they wouldn't need to go far from the shore. She convinced Isabella that it'd be nice for her husband to meet her smelling fresh. Isabella eventually succumbed to the pressure and took off her royal dress and regalia. With a swift and unnoticeable move, Emily pushed Isabella into the fast-flowing river, and she watched as Isabella struggled and disappeared. The maiden, who was watching the whole scene, screamed and tried to dive into the water to rescue Isabella, but Emily fought her using her might. The maiden cried out, "Isabella cannot swim! She's gonna die! We need to help her!" But Emily held her tight and said, "Now, you listen to me. From this moment on, I am the princess. You're gonna help put on the princess attire and make me up like you did to her. Then we will continue in the journey to the prince. You mustn't tell anyone what had transpired here. If you do otherwise, I'm gonna tell the whole world that it was your doing. Let us see who's gonna believe a common maid over me of royal blood. Also, when we get to the palace, you must act like I am the princess, and no mention, I repeat, no mention of Isabella should be heard." So Emily asked that they quickly pack up and camp at another part of the woods. As they were leaving, she left a note for the guard, saying that the prince met them halfway and took them away. Hence, his service will no longer be needed. He should therefore return to the palace. In no time, they found a comfortable place to stay and get dressed. Heather, the maiden, trembled as she prepared Emily. As soon as they were done, they continued in their journey. And after 3 days, they arrived at the kingdom of Idara. The prince had prepared a grand entrance to receive his bride. There were singers, cultural dancers, live bands, and beautiful decorations. Emily majestically walked in and waved her hands as she proceeds. The prince met her in the middle and they both danced while the people cheered on. Everyone was happy that their prince has found a bride. Gradually, the party came to an end and the new couple went into their chambers. Soon thereafter, the queen came with so many female servants and introduced them and their respective duties to Emily. Since they arrived, Heather has not been herself. She's been so worried, thinking about what could have happened to the princess and wondering what to do. After giving the matter some thought, she decided to go inform the prince about what had happened. But she waited till the prince was alone and she snuck in to meet him. The prince was surprised to see her in his chambers and asked in a gentle tone, "Are you okay? Do you need anything to make your stay comfortable?" She began to shiver and couldn't find the right words to say. She finally mustered up courage and said, "The princess." Immediately, the door opened and Emily walked in. Sensing what could be going on, she burst into tears and said, "I just caught this girl poisoning my drink. My parents warned me not to bring her with me, as she had always displayed envy towards me. But I never listened. I thought showing her kindness would make her have a change of heart. But today, I caught her in the act," she said, sobbing heavily. She immediately called the guards and asked that they throw her in prison. Ida was quiet the whole time, as her words would not count at that point. Each passing day, Prince Alexandria witnessed a very different side of Emily. He wondered if this was the same person his father praised and spoke so highly of. She would scream at the maidens, hit them at every given opportunity. She doesn't hesitate to punish them at the slightest mistake. And this bothers the prince. He spoke to his father about his concerns, and his father admitted his complaints, saying that he is also confused at the sudden change in behavior. Meanwhile, the palace guard returned to the palace and reported the sudden change of plans to the king and queen. The king immediately sensed that all wasn't well. He knew that wasn't part of the plan, but he really cannot place his fingers and point out what was really wrong. He was greatly disturbed and asked the guard to narrate all over everything that happened. So he and the queen decided to go to Idara to see if all is well. They arranged to go there in 2 days. The next morning, the princess was brought in to them by a kind fisherman who found her almost dead in the river. He had rescued her and took her home, took very good care of her, and as soon as she became strong enough, he decided to bring her home. The princess narrated all that transpired and how Emily pushed her into that river. The king was shocked at this sudden revelation and instantly asked that his wife and daughter prepare for a journey to Idara. Very early the next day, they all set out. When they got to the palace, they met the king and his son in the throne room, and they related everything to them. That instant, Emily was brought in, and the moment she saw all of them, she turned to run away. But the guards quickly seized her and restrained her. Isabella was introduced to her prince, and this time the prince felt his heart flutter, and he was awestruck at her beauty. Emily was arrested and Heather was released from prison. The royal family announced a grand wedding, which was held immediately. A few days later, it was time for Isabella's parents to return. They took Emily with them, bound in prison chains. All the kings came together and decided to adjust the constitution that forbids a couple from seeing each other before the wedding. Isabella and Alexandra found true love, and together they embarked on life's journey, figuring out things as they go. And so, this story came to an end. This is a story my mother told me. If you enjoyed watching this video, please like, subscribe, and share with your friends, as these help us grow. Thank you, and see you in our next story. Bye!